Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Let's get to the latest transfer news. We'll be talking about Gabriel, the latest on his new contract, and obviously Benjamin Sesko. Yesterday we talked about the fee being almost 90 million plus, but today we have some more clarification on that. It could be less than that or way less than that. There's a lot of different figures going around, so I think we'll only get to know the final answer when the deal is done. And also Martinelli. I mean, I've already told you guys I want Martinelli to stay as a backup next season. I still think Martinelli does some good things on the pitch, especially when it comes to defensively and the energy that he gives the whole game. I still think he does well in terms of that. I still think he can be, a backup player next season, but it's looking very unlikely that he's going to be here next season, unfortunately for him. But let's discuss all that. Let's start with Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, I didn't do my player ratings for the season yet. I might post it, but yeah, I think Gabriel is my player of the season for this past season, even though he got injured in April. The impact that he had for us throughout the season, both attacking-wise and defensive-wise, he was really good, man. There's some tackles he made. I remember one against Solanke when he played Tottenham at home. What a tackle, man. Like that was the guaranteed goal in that match. So he had that a lot this season, and the big goals he scored against Man City and Tottenham away. Gabriel has just been a beast this past season. He probably would be my player of the season. Now, as I've always said, it's great going for players like Gyökeres and Sesko and Nico Williams. But if today you told me, yes, Arsenal are going to sign Gyökeres and you're going to sign Sesko, both of them, but we are selling Gabriel and Saliba, yeah, that is basically we've done nothing there, because you have to keep the core of your team. You have to keep the spine of your team going. And the spine of the team is Gabriel, it's Saliba, it's Declan Rice, mostly the three of them in that middle area. And then obviously you have to keep your other better players like Saka and players like that. But you obviously need to add to the players, but you can't just add and then get rid of the top players. So Gabriel getting a new contract is very, very important. And as Sami Mokbela said, Sami Mokbela has been very accurate in terms of Arsenal news since January. He's been very good. So most of his reports are very accurate. He says Arsenal in advanced talks with defender Gabriel of a new contract. Agreement closed for the key defender. So that is big news. We need to keep Gabriel. Still, I think right now he's kind of heading to his prime. So hopefully he'll be fit to start this season. I think he will miss a part of preseason as journalists have predicted, or some news has predicted. He's a top player, man. This is a proper defender. When we signed him back in 2020, I mean, right now he's one of our longest serving players all of a sudden, because he's one of the players that have stayed here the longest since 2020, and we don't really have too many players who've been here since like 2017, 2018, like the Wenger era and the Emre era. No, this is like Arteta's players, and Gabriel was one of the first signings that we made alongside Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey won't be here in the next 3 years, but you can see Gabriel being here in the next 3 years. So by the time we get to 2027, when his contract is supposed to expire, he'll be our longest player by then. Now, surprisingly, Gabriel, is one of the least paid players at Arsenal. His contract was signed a long time ago. Gabriel gets paid less than 100,000 per week. That is very criminal. If you compare Gabriel being paid 90,000 a week, and then you look at, Jesus and Havertz, all over 200,000, and even players like Tierney and Zinchenko get paid more than Gabriel. That is a crime, because Gabriel is probably our most important player. He should be in the at least top 5 most paid players. So I don't know how much he will be getting, but I am very sure that will jump from what it is right now, 90,000, maybe double, maybe even up to 200,000. He's one of the most important players. And if right now Gabriel says, hey, I want 250,000, you'd probably give it to him, because he's been very important for us. He's, apart from this injury that he's picked up, he's always been available. He's always been playing in almost all the competitions, scoring big goals for us. Our top scorer in terms of defenders ever since he joined us. What a player, man. This is a clutch player. And he always scores in big games as well. I'm sure he scored at the Etihad, he scored at Tottenham Stadium, he scored at Stamford Bridge. This is a guy who, Sporting away, I think he scored. Like, this is a guy who always scores in big games, man. And I love his celebrations as well sometimes. So Gabriel is going to stay. And this is what Fabrizio Romano has had to add to that. Arsenal on the verge of reaching an agreement with Gabriel Magalhaes over a new long-term deal. Negotiations at advanced stages. Understand deal will be valid until 2030. That is big news. Another 5 years for Gabriel. Yes, please. I don't think he's done anything wrong at Arsenal. The only time when Gabriel looked a bit shaky was a couple of seasons ago, where he was getting a few yellow cards here and there. I think he picked up a red card, making a few errors, giving a few penalties. But if these days, all of a sudden, like this season, people have been really saying he's better than Saliba, and the previous seasons, people are like Saliba is miles clear. I don't like comparing them. We're just lucky we have both of them from where we used to be, guys, man. We used to choose between Miguel and Squillaci and Silvestre and those guys in our defense. Right now, having Gabriel and Saliba, that is huge for us. That is absolutely huge. So I don't like comparing them, but having him for another 5 years, yes, you can keep your defenders for 15 years, that partnership going, keep it as long as possible. So yeah, until 2030, yeah, that's another extra 3 years on his current contract. Yes, please get it done. Now, that is the contract signing. There's a lot of players with the contract signings ongoing. Trossard, Partey. We are in negotiations with Nwaneri, Lewis Kelly, so let's see how those ones go as well. But we want to know about the players who are coming in. So what's the latest on Sesko? According to T News and Ticks, Benjamin Sesko's reported fee of 93 million is absolute nonsense, and Leipzig's starting position is much less, with Arsenal negotiating from there. The Gunners want a quick resolution, and the fee is now all important. Now, even after this report, I've still seen some outlets saying, it's still going to be more than 90 million. No one truly knows how much it's going to be. It could be 60, it could be 70, it could be 75, it could be 80, it could be in installments. No one knows how many installments it will be. No one knows how much is going to be paid per week if he ends up joining us. No one really has the details. What I can say is it's looking very likely that Sesko is going to be our striker next season and not Gyökeres. So hey, I said I prefer Gyökeres, but again, if Sesko joins Arsenal, then we forget about Gyökeres and you start supporting Gyökeres, because we know how important this deal is for us. Whichever striker that we get, it has to work out, as I said yesterday. And if it is Sesko, we hope that he settles in as quickly as possible. We hope that he does great. We hope that he has the best environment to, perform in an Arsenal kit, and we support him from there. And yes, as I said again yesterday, he's still a very good striker. Still scores goals. I think he scored more goals between the age of 16 and 21, more than what Gyökeres did from 16 to 21, way more actually. So that is a good thing. So let's just hope it works out, because this is like our final piece of the puzzle, a striker. So the piece has to fit in that puzzle. We cannot have a piece that is too big for the puzzle or too small for the puzzle, and then you start searching for another piece to fill in the puzzle, that last piece. No, hopefully it works. I think he will score goals for Arsenal, but let's see. But what would have been put even more pressure on the team and all that is 93 million would have been a lot of money. But if Team News and Tick says it's not 93 million, then how much is it? So we have this report from Plettenberg of Plettigirl says Arsenal and RB Leipzig are in discussions about a possible payment structure regarding the transfer of Benjamin Sesko. The player's release clause is set over 80 million. So if it's over 80 million euros, that's around 68 to 70 million pounds. Let's say 70, because it says it's over 80. 70 million pounds around that is way down from what we were told yesterday, 93 million. That would be okay. Still more expensive than Gyökeres, but at least for 70 million, that is like the same range where Højlund went to Man United for around that kind of money. So yeah, strikers usually go for that. If you want a top striker, you're going to have to pay more than 70 million. 93 million would have been a huge push. 93 million is it has to work. 93 million is not, let's see how it goes. No, 93 million is it has to work. And that just like Declan Rice, 100 million, you're not, hoping that on your guaranteed good performances with that kind of money. So it's a lot of pressure on Sesko, but let's hope if he does join us, he has the best environment and we can actually make use of his strengths and abilities. Now, he's a very good header of the ball. He's tall, obviously. He's very good in terms of picking up the ball and running with it and covering spaces with it. He can run in behind. He can score volleys. He can score quick one-touch finishes. And the thing I love about him as well is the injury record. I don't think he's picked up an injury since 2021. That is absolutely crazy. That is 4 years. That is fantastic. So if he can bring that to Arsenal, well and good. And if he can bring at least 20 goals to Arsenal, that is great. I saw a comment yesterday from someone saying we don't really need 20 plus goals from Sesko. We only need like 15. But what we need is those goals against those teams that we struggle with. Someone did point that out. That is true. We need Sesko to be scoring those goals, against Everton, and it's 0-0 and you're struggling to score, against West Ham when you're struggling to score, against Ipswich and it's only 1-0 and you're struggling to score. You do also need him in the big games like Man City when you're drawing 0-0 and you need him to score one goal. He does score a lot of big goals. I've seen he scored against Juventus and Bayerns and all those guys over the last 2-3 years. That is what you need. So there's a bit of truth from in that comment. We need him to just score those goals that we might not score against those smaller teams that we struggle to score against and break down. But yes, so when you sign a striker like that and, game changers, you look at Salah, you look at Haaland, those are the reasons why they're winning the titles, because they're getting 25, 30 goal, 40 goal contributions in a season. You really need that. So let's see how it goes with Sesko. Again, though, there is still reports on Gyökeres, and Fabrizio himself said despite Benjamin Sesko contact, Arsenal are still considering Victor Gyökeres. So that is still going on. Let's see what happens with Victor Gyökeres. Looking likely that it's Sesko 75%, 25% Gyökeres, but you never know, man. But hopefully the transfer window is opening this weekend. We will get to know who we are really going for. Next up, let's talk about a player that might end up leaving, Gabriel Martinelli. Now, according to reports, Gabriel Martinelli is one of the backup options for Barcelona if they are unable to sign Luis Diaz or Marcus Rashford this summer. And there's been other reports saying, Martinelli is the only guy that Arsenal can sell that has a lot of value. Again, I wouldn't keep him as a starter. I would keep him as a backup player. I think we need a left winger. But again, I've seen people saying, the reason why we are crying for a left winger is because Martinelli is not good enough. There's a bit of truth in that. He hasn't delivered for 2 seasons now. There's still some quality there. He's not a completely useless player now. I saw someone saying he's one of the worst Arsenal signings. That is not true. We signed him for 6 million. He had 3 very good seasons, especially our first title challenge against Man City in 2023 season. He was really, really good, scoring big goals. He always scores against Liverpool and all that. Scored against Man City the first time we beat Man City in a long time. Obviously scored a few goals against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He's a player who can score in the big games as well. But those misses this season against Bournemouth away and Atalanta away, Newcastle at home, those misses really stand out this season, unfortunately. And the fact that he didn't have a good season the previous year, it will always stand out. And if Arsenal are going to sell players to buy players, he's one of the few that can be sold. The other players, you're not going to sell Partey right now. His contract is expiring. You're not going to sell Zinchenko for 40 million. You're not going to sell... there's others who you're not considering to sell, all our big players. Even if you say sell Merino, you're not going to get 40 million. Even if you say sell Kivio, maybe you might get 35, 40. If you say some will say sell Havertz, you're not going to get that amount of money right now. I don't think Arsenal are not going to sell Havertz anyway. So it's a waste of time even thinking about it. But yeah, Martinelli is the only one really that, because we're also looking for players in his position. I don't think we're really looking for players in Havertz's position. Yes, we're going to get Sesko, but I think Havertz is still going to play a role in the team somewhere, somehow. But Gabriel Martinelli, if Trossard is staying and a new wing is coming in, then you have to wonder what is in the mind of Andrea Bat and Mikel Arteta in regards to Martinelli. The question is, does Arteta rate Martinelli? Does he actually think he's a good player? Like for Sterling, we still have a hard time believing that Arteta wanted Sterling because he just never used him at all. Yet the thing with Arteta, if he likes a player, he's going to use him. Even if Havertz is not performing well, he still tries to use him. If he liked Sterling, you'd have been using him if he's the one who signed really wanted to sign him. So the thing with Martinelli still gets used here and there, especially I think it allows his defensive work. So maybe it's a 50-50. There's a 50% chance he's going to stay, but there's also a chance, if you never know, is it Andrea Bat saying, this is the only player we can sell? Is he actually saying, no, actually, we can keep him? We don't know what is happening. So let's just wait and see with Martinelli what is happening. And then lastly, one player who is definitely leaving is Marquinhos. According to Fabrizio, it's over between Arsenal and Marquinhos as Brazilian winger joins Cruzeiro on permanent deal until 2028. So again, players like Marquinhos and Lokonga and Tavares, the time we signed them, 2021, we were a different Arsenal at that point. We were just trying to get into the Champions League and try to get as far as possible in the Europa League. Unfortunately for these players, the very next season, we started challenging for the title, and our heads and our levels went to a different place. Now, instead of thinking about Marquinhos, we started thinking about Nico Williams. Instead of thinking about, can we fit Lokong into the team? Instead of thinking about Zubimendi and Joan Neves and players like that in midfield, like the levels changed very, very quickly. So all the best to him. Didn't really work out at Arsenal. So let's see who is next. Obviously, not every single player works out in a team. Every signing doesn't work out. Some end up leaving, and Marquinhos is one of them. So that is the end of the chapter for him. Let's see if you're going to replace him with another Brazilian or get another Brazilian in Rodrigo. We will wait and see. Thank you for watching, and I will catch up with you guys on the next one.